Hello, hello. Welcome to Breaking the News Plus after a holiday weekend. Hope everybody is not rested, but at least they had a good time. Joining me today is one of my favorite journalists in the Twin Cities, Nick Halter. He is with the news source that is Axios. They have a great newsletter in the morning. If you don't get it, sign up for it. One of my favorite things is what Nick decides to dive into. And today, he's a smart man. On a slow news day, he had something ready. And it was opining on where the new Lynx Timberwolves arena will be located. Guessing there will be one because new ownership says, yeah, they're looking in that direction. So, Nick, you looked at some places that you thought it could happen. Any come to the top of the list?
Yeah, this has kind of been a little bit of an obsession of mine for a while, and as you said, it could be many years before this becomes a reality. But I do think the NBA and the WNBA are city leagues. They tend to want to be in cities. There's really one arena in LA. The Clippers play in a suburb, Inglewood, which is almost hardly a suburb, anyways. But so I do think that Minneapolis is the most logical place that they'll stay. If they do stay, there's a few sites. The one that's probably most common and maybe the most logical, though, is probably the farmers market site. It doesn't necessarily mean the actual farmers market, but there's a lot of industrial land around there, and there's going to be a light rail station, the Green Line station right there as well, and that makes a lot of sense for it.
And we've heard the farmers market station, if my old age memory serves me at all correctly anymore. That one has come up. I think it came up when the Vikings were talking about a new place, when before Target Field, talking about a new place, but it never quite got off the ground. Do you think it has that potential to do it for this one? And what's been the holdup before?
Well, and the most recent one, the Minnesota United soccer team, they actually did have a deal. Right. They had a purchase agreement to buy that land, but ended up building in St. Paul because they couldn't get a deal with the city worked out, and that was a big holdup. But this time around, we'll see. I think what's changed a lot from 10 years ago when the soccer team was looking there versus now is that real estate in the middle of downtown Minneapolis has come down remarkably in price. You've got office towers that are worth next to nothing or nothing now. Land values have fallen. And so I've laid out the case why the new owners should maybe take a look at some sites right in the core of downtown, even right on Nicollet Mall, which I think could be a kind of a game changer for Nicollet Mall when the city wants to reactivate Nicollet Mall. If you had an arena built, you could tear down. I've suggested City Center, which is like the huge Target tower that used to be home to Target employees. They've emptied that out. It's mostly vacant now. It's a huge super block. What if you tore that down, built the arena, and it would stretch from Hennepin to Nicollet, or along like 7th-ish Avenue on either side of that? So the point just being, whether it's that site or something else, it does make more sense now to build something right in the middle of downtown Minneapolis.
Right, you talked about that too, which I thought was really interesting when other cities, and you mentioned smartly that the NBA, WNBA really wants to stay in a city core. Is that because, you talked about season ticket holders and where they live, and then just the sheer amount of games? Like when we're talking about the Vikings, well, yeah, that's a once a week maybe when they're home. But when you're talking about two basketball teams that span almost the entire year with a combined number of games somewhere in the 150-ish, you kind of need to be in a centrally located place.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that to build enough parking, for example, if you did a suburban arena, is going to be really expensive. I mean, it costs $35,000-$40,000 per stall of like parking ramps, for example. So wow. It could be just hundreds of millions of dollars just to build the parking if you wanted to do something in the suburbs. Now, the one site that if there was a suburban play to be made, I think would be Mall of America. You've got a lot of land kind of next to that IKEA store. They've talked about building a big water park there. There's plenty of parking there. It's on a light rail stop too, which I think is somewhat attractive for that. You can get people in and out of there on the light rail. It's close to the airport, and it's not incredibly far from either city. It's not like you're going way out far. So I do think if there was a play to be made, that would be it. But to your point, like the Wolves are going to want to look, and they'll probably, in the Lynx as well, will want to do like an arena, look at their season ticket holders, find out where they live, find out how far they would want to go for this type of a thing. they're going to have to do some studies on that too.
And one thing that I can't quite get my head around too, when we build US Bank, so the Vikings play over at TCF or Huntington Bank, whatever it's called now, with the W and the NBA, if they just got rid of Target Center and started over there, they'd have a real problem with where they would play games in the interim of construction.
Yeah, and Target Center, where it is now, doesn't make any more sense. The whole point of what the new owners want is a bigger arena. They want, and that is just one of the most smushed arenas. It's on one of the smallest little footprints in the NBA. They want to build something that is bigger. They can have more clubs and lounges and more bathrooms because, if you've ever been to the second level of a busy Wolves or Lynx game, on the second level, the concourses are so skinny and there's not enough concessions. The bathroom lines are long. It's just not an ideal setup for it. So they want to go somewhere bigger. And like a lot of sports teams these days, they want to build something that they can build stuff around it. They can build hotels and offices and residential, restaurants, bars, that type of a thing. So where they're at right now probably is off the table unless they were to. It's kind of locked right there. So I wouldn't suggest. I don't think they'll have a problem playing in Target Center until the next arena will be open.
And do you think they have enough space for those things you're talking about if they did the farmers market site, or even bolder if they did what you smartly suggest too, cheap real estate, starting a new place? Do you think they have enough room in both of those downtown places to build the bigness that you're talking about?
Yeah, farmers market for sure, just depending on how they did land deals, and that's not a given. You might have landowners who hold out and make it hard to do. The one I pitched in the middle of the city, it would be tighter. They would probably have to be a little more flexible on that. I've suggested, you could build it attached to what is now Mayo Clinic Square, where both the teams practice, and then and then that site basically connects to where Target Center is now. Well, if you tore down Target Center and built sort of a Timberwolves Lynx district right there, like Milwaukee has with the Bucks, where you could have outdoor watch parties, you could have some bars and restaurants, that type of a thing, and then fans could sort of queue in through Mayo Clinic Square into the new arena on that side. Would make sense. There's some other sites in Minneapolis that I laid out there as well. The Graco campus in Northeast Minneapolis that just became available. That's a big site. You could build one of those entertainment districts in Northeast Minneapolis, right on the river. The downside of that site is that you're not on any transit and you're a ways from the freeway. So you're going to have fans kind of backing up on city streets there, I think.
That's true, because it'd be tight there in the Northeast, very, very densely populated with older homes. Yeah. But man, it would be pretty. That Graco site is beautiful.
Yeah, that would be a cool one. And then the other one that I pointed out before is, Hennepin County Medical Center right now, they're consolidating their whole campus. If you've been over there lately, they've been kind of tearing down some of their old brutalist architecture and building, taller hospital buildings, reconfiguring their parking. They're eventually going to open up a lot of land for development over there. And that's just south of US Bank Stadium. And you could see why city leaders might be enticed by a site like that, because Vikings, as to your point, it's 10 games a year, and it's hard. We've never seen the restaurant and bars grow up around there because I think it's just so infrequently that the events are. But now, if you add 41 Wolves home games, 20-some home Lynx games a year, not including playoffs for either team, concerts, then you've got, I think, enough regular activity around there to really make it so that you could start to see kind of the vibrancy that the North Loop has with like the after Twins games and stuff.
Right. One of the things that the city tried to do with US Bank is like rebrand. This is downtown East. But to your point, no matter how much we love the Vikings, 10 games a year doesn't create a vibrant downtown East. But if there were two arenas, now we're talking about a whole different thing.
Yeah, I think it would be a total game changer for that area of downtown.
One place, I moved here from Kansas City a long, long time ago, but they sort of did that idea. The Power and Light District and the Sprint Center down in downtown, like changed Kansas City in terms of having an arena and having a place to go. None of that existed 25 years ago in Kansas City, and it became kind of a mecca for sports and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and are they talking about moving either the Chiefs or the Royals down there at some point too now? Is that...
I mean, I'm not going to get, it's a big hot debate. But yeah, I mean, there's this kind of a beloved area of Kansas City. It's just, but Kansas City is an example of a Major League Baseball and a football stadium that are off the beaten path of downtown. You got to take I-70. There isn't public transit out there, but it's been there forever, and so they just deal with it. But that's it.
And I think what you're talking about right now underscores the importance of the Wolves staying in downtown, because the recovery of downtown Minneapolis, I mean, if it weren't for sports, I don't know where it would be right now in terms of bringing people back to downtown without the office workers, without people being a little hesitant post-COVID to come back downtown. Sports has been the great, like, bringer back. And, you know, I can't imagine what would be like if we had done what Kansas City and some other cities did and built them way out in Arden Hills or Blaine or whatever the ideas were, where you just then, I don't know what downtown would be, what point we would be at right now in downtown.
Yeah, and a vibrant downtown, in my opinion, we get to share those here, is best for the state in terms of, like, it's always funny to me when these stadiums that are out, like, built way out from city cores, and you watch, like, Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Baseball, and, like, the skyline shots are the city shots. I'm like, yeah, but they're way out somewhere else. It would make sense. I would think there'd be a strong lobby to be in the city. And with these new owners, I mean, I don't see, A-Rod doesn't strike me as suburban, but I know he's going to go where the money goes.
The one speculation people have is Mark Lowry, the other owner. He's always had this, like, dream of building his own city. And so people have said, well, what if he did that here somewhere outside of the metro? And, you know, once you get to a point where you have that much land that you're talking about building some massive, you know, micro city or something, the problem becomes, let's just say it's south of Rosemont. Just, I don't have any reason to believe that's where it would be, but just for an example, well, think about all the fans who might live in Blaine or might live in Maple Grove or might live in White Bear Lake. That is a heck of a drive for them to get down there for a Timberwolves or a Lynx game, which are frequent. You know, it's one thing to drive down there for one Vikings game a year if that's your thing, or a couple, or once a week, even if you're really into it for the season. But that's why I think NBA works better for a downtown, and baseball too, for that matter, where, you know, people are going to a lot of games. Like, it's good to have it centrally located.
Well, I appreciate you coming on Breaking the News Plus to speculate with me. I appreciate your speculation in Axios and on that newsletter that all our friends hopefully sign up for, because it's really interesting conversation, and one I'm sure we're going to be having for months, if not years to come. Nick Halter with Axios. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Well, that's all for Breaking the News Plus on this Monday night. If you have ideas on where this new arena that might be coming should be, hit us up. Love to hear what you think. Take care.